Welcome to the United National Congress.
If you want to lead, who can get If you want to lead, who can be properly place your experience on election day?
Live. On election day. Vote. Mikey. Come again? It's like a overloaded plug.
Don't put that in there. That feels so. I feel so. Pero. Oh! So what about this verse?
That's the real. Yeah, but like to people can.
That was what they next. We tried that.
This look like it's not enough.
No, but this is
Better? Oh, it should be at this side. Yeah.
Oh, you said this.
Look like a mood, but not like a soul. Talking such a your height looking good. It's looking good there. Top of the line.
Check what's up. So check 1-1. Check our song 1, 1, 2, 3.
Dog boy. I just like to tell you that you want to come in. Okay, first game. Yeah, we go down that ball.
Check our song 1. Yeah.
Lackram Bodoe. So he will talk about it. Yes, I think it would be right? How are you doing?
It's nice. Good to see you.
Good evening, everyone. Um, thanks for being here. My name is Mandy Moraj. I'm just holding on for Viviana until she arrives. About 5 minutes again. So thanks for your patience. In approximately 5 minutes, we will start. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Then we will have to go for mine. Thank you very much, honey. One. So, can I ask everybody to stand for a word of prayer, which will be brought to us by former Deputy Mayor, Ms. Sabrina Monhatch. Whatever form we acknowledge the presence of a Creator, I invite all of us now to focus and join with me in a word of prayer as I approach my Lord and Master as I know it through Jesus Christ. Heavenly Father, Creator, merciful God, great God of peace, great God of decisions, great God of consciousness, we come before you this night, cognizant of all the wonderful ways in which you extend your mercies and your blessings to all of us in our individual spaces. We are mindful of all those present here with us tonight, the families they represent, the spaces from which they come. And we acknowledge the burdens we all bring, especially the burden of decision making. Heavenly Father, we ask us all to listen with open ears and to make this crucial decision before us, O Lord, so that at the end of the day, when you whisper to us the decision you would like us to make, it will be the right decision. Thank you for our candidate. Thank you for our speakers. Thank you for the MP that's present. Thank you for the chair of today's proceedings. Thank you for all those who organized and put this night together. We place this meeting into your precious hands. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. So, Member of Parliament for Hyderabad, Dr. Lackram Bodoe. Candidate for San Fernando West, Dr. Michael Dowlath. president of the Pointe-a-Pierre branch of the OWTU and very good hardworking activist of the United National Congress, Mr. Christopher Jackman. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, all distinguished guests, welcome very much to our Marabella leg of this campaign, this interactive cottage meeting. And I'd like to thank our host and recognize our host this evening. That is none other than our office manager, also member of the OWTU Marabella branch, Pointe-a-Pierre branch, sorry, Miss Debbie Prasad, and Debbie's hardworking, and you could see that she put so much effort into the organization of this evening's meeting, and we are extremely grateful for her hospitality and continued hard work. So without delaying you any further, I would like to welcome our first speaker, and he is, I just recognize him, Mr. Christopher Jackman, president of the Pointe-a-Pierre branch of OWTU, and he has been a backbone in this entire campaign thus far, walking with Doc every day, really keeping this entire thing together. He's an area manager in this campaign, and we are extremely grateful for support. Please welcome Mr. Christopher Jackman, no stranger to any of us.
All right, everyone. Good night, good night. Good night. And I'm pleased and honored to be here. All protocols observed. All right. I just want to get straight to the point because there's a lot of things to cover tonight. All right. This campaign is beginning to get hot. It is beginning to get hot. And I believe it is happening because of the impact that Dr. Dowlath is having as he's walking the ground. So what we're seeing now is a panic situation where, and I'm going to give examples of this, I'm not going to just say this outright, where Faris Alwari is resorting to what I would like to call dirty politics. All right, so I'm going to give some examples of that if you all will permit me before I get into the Petrotrid discussion. What we have received reports from, and this is not hearsay, this is not from people outside the office, this would have been from people within the meeting. And what we're hearing is that at his newly set up office in Cipero Road, I believe it's on the 3rd floor, what they're getting into now is pulling contractors, contract groups. So for example, CBEP gangs, forestry gangs, URP gangs are being hauled up to the office where they are engaging in brainwashing exercises. So when I say brainwashing exercises, they are asking them if they would have gone to Naparima College. They are asking them if Doc would have ever done anything for you, right? But the real question he's supposed to be asking is what would he have done for them in the last 9 years? He is trying, again, utilizing the race card and the difference in class to divide the people of San Fernando. But what he fails to realize is that the people of San Fernando are fed up of the PNN. All right, they are absolutely fed up of the PNN. So persons from that very same meeting would have come right back to the camp and informed us of what was taking place. So we just want to send the message out that Faris, we know what you're doing. And we are still coming strong and hard. And one thing about Doc, one thing about this quality candidate that we have here is that he has given every one of us an instruction that this campaign must be a clean campaign, where he walks the ground and he tells the people of San Fernando what we will do for you and what Faris has not done for you. It is a clear difference between the two candidates. He should be ashamed of himself for the dirty politics he's engaging in. Because I'm going to give you a second example. Faris has an idea that he can lock areas. So when he walks a zone, he doesn't want to see a UNC flag up. So he speaks to his activists on the ground And of course, well, I have no evidence of this, but we all know what motivates. So they are now on a mission to remove all UNC flags from the area. And they engage in hostile action, again at the behest of their quote-unquote leader. So you have persons demonstrating their passion for the UNC by putting up a flag around a building, by putting a flag on a street, by putting a flag in their area. And you will now find persons that are motivated politically coming to remove those flags and engaging in violent acts and swearing language just at the behest of their MP political leader. That again is dirty politics. We must not encourage that. And we must let Trinidad and Tobago know what is taking place. Because this is the level of desperation that they have reached just to suppress Dr. Dowlath from being successful in San Fernando. But we won't allow it. Because I can say here proudly tonight that the very same persons who would have had their flags torn down, the very same persons who would have had their banners removed, came to the office today to get more. And they're going to go back on site and they're going to put it up again. Because they want to send a clear message that Paris, you are not welcome here. And you see, Trinidad and Tobago, we have grown used to this sort of bully and intimidation tactics over the last 10 years. And it is about time as citizens, we get the courage to learn to stand up. We have seen 10 years of a government that said that they care about you. But over 10 years, they have delivered nothing. And now when election time comes, all the ideas come to their head. But we must never forget that Rowley and Stuart Young would have been the ones who want to bring property tax. That Rowley and Stuart Young would have been the ones who shut down Petrotrin. That Rowley and Stuart Young are the ones who would have led a vicious campaign through the COVID season to tell you, take the shot or lose your work. People don't talk about that, right? That Rowley and Stuart Young would have overseen the harsh and oppressive action against our divers, the 4 divers that were left in that pipeline. We must never forget that. And let us not forget the over 1,000 persons that would have died in this country. When, forgive me for talking too much, as I get passionate about these things. When the political leader of the UNC would have made the recommendation to Dr. Rowley about how to deal with crime, she was cast aside. You know what her recommendation was? To call a state of emergency. When he realized water more than flour in an election year, and January coming, and the people will be voting, he decided it is time to call a SOE. But my SOE different. I'm not putting a curfew. So it's not a full SOE. So I'm not doing what the opposition leader say, but I still calling a SOE, so she can't say nothing. And that is the modus operandi of this government. They are telling you they want to restart the refinery. We're hearing that now 3-4 years. Can we depend on them to restart that asset? We have seen areas in Marabella suffer and close. Cottage was one of the hubs within the area. Every Christmas they could rely on going there and hearing a parang. That is closed as a result of the closure of the refinery. The people of Marabella feels the burden of the closure of the refinery, whether it be through unemployment or whether it be through the suffering that has gone on through the city itself. So let us not forget the last 10 years. And that is my message to you. My message here tonight is that the PNM, and I've said this in every cottage meeting I've gone to, is a brilliant propaganda machine that will try to convince you that there's no problem with crime, that the energy sector is booming, that Trinidad and Tobago, every citizen here is living their best life. And there's no possible thing that we need here, when really and truly crime is out of control, the energy sector is suffering, and the citizens are afraid to leave their homes. A lot of citizens are unemployed and unable to find jobs. We need a change. We need hope, and do not allow them to pump your mind with propaganda and turn you away from remembering what actually happened in Trinidad and Tobago over the last 10 years. Vote for Kamla Persad. Vote for our candidate, Dr. Michael Dowlath. And again, I say it in every meeting. Throughout all 39 candidates in Trinidad and Tobago, I don't think there's one candidate that will meet the experience, the qualification, and the track record of Dr. Michael Dowlath. Let us be proud of our candidate for San Fernando West. I am assured that he will do a job 10 times better than Faris Alwari, who has, while he may be a courteous person, he has failed miserably at representing San Fernando. All right? So, I won't bore you all anymore tonight. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jackman. Welcome, please. We know we're still in Ramadan. We're in the final days of Ramadan, so a lot of our Muslim neighbors, we have a lot of Muslim neighbors busy at the mosque, as well as it being a long weekend. So a lot of people are out for the weekend. So our next speaker, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out on this long weekend and coming this evening. Our next speaker is none other than our last candidate, a brother who made a friend, and I have so much respect for him because, as I say in every meeting that I go to, and to people that I know, that he lost the seat. He didn't get reappointed to the Senate. He didn't pick up his marbles and run home. He didn't go on Monday edition and lay out horrendous, nasty things against the party and the leader. He stood his ground. He stayed, he helped us, he walked with us. He's my co-coordinator in San Fernando West. He's a friend, he's a brother. Please welcome the young, brilliant attorney, Mr. Shyan St.
Thank you, Alderman Juliana of the San Fernando City Corporation. Good evening to everyone here. Good evening to the MP for Faizabad, Dr. Lackram Bodoe. To our good friend Christopher Jackman of the OWTU, thank you for your presentation. And a special good evening to our winning candidate and our new MP from the night of April 28th, Dr. Michael Dowlath. I am very, very happy and honored to be here this evening to address this crowd of persons gathered at our cottage meeting here this evening. Coming over here, just like I do on a number of occasions, I consider what am I going to say? What message am I going to bring to the persons who have considered to come out to listen to us as a panel? And I told myself, essentially, it should have been a very easy position for constituents in San Fernando West when a person in the name of Faris Alwari presents himself to them after serving 2 terms, what their response to him should be and what their decision should be come election day. It should be very easy for persons living within San Fernando West, having experienced the same set of problems between 2015 and 2020, and those problems not existing or continuing, but actually getting worse between 2020 and 2025. It should be extremely easy for them to make a decision and make a choice that would better their lives for 2025 and beyond. It should be even more easy when the opposition has presented a candidate who, when you juxtapose or compare rather Faris, the incumbent, and our candidate, the pedigree of the person that UNC has given to this country, given to this constituency, in the name of Dr. Dowlath, the choice for the constituents should be easy. But nothing in this life worth fighting for, especially in electoral politics, a life of service to the people for God and country, is easy. And that is why the candidate that we have is not taking anything for granted. That is why the election campaign that we've launched as a party is one that is not taking anything for granted. That is why for all years, 36 years essentially, that the UNC has been alive, it has never taken the people of this country for granted. And in choosing candidates to represent that mantra, that ethos of inclusiveness, of understanding the nature of all persons within our country, and striving to ensure that your present is good, but your future is better. We took our time and we've selected the best possible candidate to make that choice a tad bit easier for you on election day in the form of Dr. Michael Dowlath. I've said it on a number of occasions, I've spent a considerable time with Dr. Dowlath. It wasn't just last year I met Dr. Dowlath. I've known him for more than 10 years. And he was a pivotal part of my campaign in terms of the consultation and the assistance that he gave during the entire campaign that I ran in the COVID situation. And he continued to be someone that I could have relied upon even after the election. Not many people could say that, you know, especially when you've lost. Many people turn their backs on you. He was always available. And that is why it is easy for me to present myself here tonight or anytime I'm called upon to assist him in what he has to do. Dr. Dowlath has spent his time developing proper plans to fix a decade of misery, hurt, pain, and suffering that the people of San Fernando West in particular would have procured, would have been meted out in the hands of by the hands of Faris Al-Rawi. And those plans deal with not only its specialty, which is with respect to education, but it took its time to consult with the entire cross-section of San Fernando West, stemming from Sunset Cove, go all the way back to Marabella, to ensure that he identified specific problems in specific areas to provide specific and tangible solutions. No pie in the sky. And I said it the other day when we were on the train line, that his position has always been sustainable growth and development for the people of San Fernando West. So that when he comes back in 2030 as a returning MP, as the incumbent, then maybe for the very first time in a long time, his job will be easy. The choice of the constituents in San Fernando West will be easy because he would have delivered on the promises that he made between 2025 and 2030. And that the lives of persons within this country, especially within the constituency of San Fernando West, because I know he'll play a national role. I mean, look at him. He has the poise and the pedigree to do so. He's done so by being principal of Naparima College for 15 years. He's done so by being principal of Ireland High School for a number of years as well. He's played a national role. He's shaped the lives of many young people within this country. And many parents of those young people will also tell you that he influenced their lives as well. We were walking through Gulfview sometime and there was a gentleman who took him into his home. And he had a shrine basically developed for his son. And he spoke to Dr. Dowlath at length about the impact that Dr. Dowlath had on that child's life and how that child has impacted the entire family. That is the type of candidate that you have in Dr. Dowlath. That is why we're trying to shift the needle from making your choice difficult to one that is easy come April 28th. whatever this snake oil salesman will try to sell you when he walks around here, includes that I mean sometimes when I work out, so I think my clothes are quite tight, but in clothes that appear to be even tighter than my own, right? When he walks around here trying to sell you dreams, just remember it's not the first time that he had an opportunity to deliver. It's not the second time he had an opportunity to deliver. This will be the third time that he come and tell you the very same things that he told you 10 years ago. It is time to give somebody else a chance. And as I close, the same way I started, we are trying to make, sometimes considering all that has happened over a decade of P&M administration, the dogs that backing down the road should be a better option than anything the P&M offers. But we didn't approach a situation like that. We took our time, as I said, and we've given this country quality candidates. The political leader in the party has given San Fernando West a quality candidate in the form of Dr. Dowlath. Tried, tested, and proven to be true. Not in any other part of this country, but especially in the development of San Fernando. Through that one thing that any country could sell to the world, and that is its HR, by developing the youth of San Fernando to go out there and make a meaningful contribution, not only in San Fernando, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but the world at large. Sometimes it pains me as I close to remind myself that I'm a press man, and I have to fight and understand that Naparima boys have really made an invaluable contribution to the world at large. And 15 years of that, with all due respect, has to be attributed to Dr. Dowlath. So from one proud presentation college San Fernando man to a respectable, genuine, intelligent, caring, passionate former principal and NAPS man in the form of Dr. Dowlath. Dr. Dowlath, I entrust the constituents of San Fernando into your caring and genuine arms and walk with them into a better future from the night of the 28th of April and onwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean, for that very strong endorsement of Dr. Dowlath. I just want to share a very quick story, Doc, if that's okay. So yesterday we had a walkabout on the train line, and we were expecting to go to Crowdland, which is usually the P&N stronghold part of the train line. So I was expecting, bracing myself, well, what would have happened in the past, first to get a little peacock and so on, and somebody to take a picture. So when we started, the girls planned their walkabout and they wanted a big truck and they wanted a Boko jump. So we started by 5 and we made our way down Seaview. Now I'm a Marabella girl, born and bred, and I spent a lot of time on the train line because, especially the Pakistan area, because I feel very close to my father and I walk through the tracks because I know he used to leave Southern Main Road and go to the train line to catch Waco, and I used to wonder where he used to walk. So when I cut through the Jack Street trace, I used to figure out that maybe he used to come here. So that's fun for me. And the girls here would tell you that I'm there and I go by sea and I spend a lot of meditative time there and I feel close to my dad. So as I'm walking down Pakistan, I'm not expecting that Pakistan is where we have our strong support and so on. Lo and behold, at the end, I could not imagine that somebody who was part of our camp, somebody who we would have assisted up until last week. I don't like to talk about these things. Put on one show, took the child's snack bag and threw it in the river, had the child crying, saying we're not hungry, and only to realize that there was somebody across the road taping. And then two people from their camp would have come to collect the video, and it landed up and it was all over the internet. And it was one person who I would have worked so closely and tried to help, and the counselor as well, John Michael. He's not here because he's fighting his own battle. But I know that he would have tried, and this is the level they stooped to. And then when we went into Crongland, where I expected to get all the people, it was love. So, ladies and gentlemen, the PNM have reached a stage of desperation. And we cannot allow that to deter us. We cannot allow that to negatively affect us, because I was hurt then. I was deeply hurt. Because this is somebody I worked with and cared for. And I wasn't expecting that from my own. And we have to understand that there's a level of desperation out there in the society where people are willing to do anything for something. And that is why this government must go. So without further ado, I would like to welcome one of the most brilliant minds in gynecology in Trinidad and Tobago. He's very well recognized in all over the Caribbean. He's a very hardworking member of Parliament of Faizabad. I can't speak on behalf of the party, but I'm almost certain he would remain, despite what PNM tried to put up on the internet and started to get text. Dr. Bodoe, it's a strong UNC, and he will remain a member of Parliament of Faizabad. So please welcome Member of Parliament for Faizabad, Dr. Lackram Bodoe.
Thank you very much, Viviana, Alderman of the San Fernando City Corporation, member of the National Executive of the United National Congress, and very, very hardworking activist in this party. I want to, of course, recognize our brother Christopher Jackman, member of the OWTU, and of course the OWTU as part of the coalition of interest, and to thank him for that very passionate contribution. Shyan St has been a former senator in the UNC, very hardworking, former candidate for San Fernando West, and of course a brilliant attorney and a great supporter. And of course, I'm here and very pleased and happy to support your candidate for San Fernando West and the incoming member of Parliament for San Fernando West, Dr. Michael Dowlath. Now, tonight we've heard about the tactics of the PNM. And I was going about my business very well this morning, went to Faizabad, what I had to do. And then from about 3 o'clock on the social media, I received this information that I have withdrawn my nomination for Faizabad. So the tactics indeed, are desperate. We've seen a level of desperation on the ground. We've seen a level of desperation now on social media. So I wouldn't spend too much time on that, except to dismiss it and to say it is complete nonsense. I have not withdrawn my nomination for Faizabad. I remain committed and strong, and of course loyal to my party, United National Congress, and of course to the political leader, the incoming Prime Minister of Shyan St. So I just want to put that and dismiss that completely. April 28th should be an easy decision for all of us, for most of us. San Fernando West is very important. San Fernando, the city of San Fernando, is the second city of Trinidad and Tobago. And we really have to ask ourselves what has happened in the last 10 years. This PNM government, this rowdy young government would want to have you believe that nothing, that the last 10 years didn't happen. The last 10 years didn't happen at all. And when we look at what we have here, in terms of what the United National Congress is offering, we are offering competence, we are offering ability, we are offering experience of Dr. Michael Dowlath, as opposed to what I want to term fluff and flash and promises. And I just want to share my own personal experience because I think the time has come and I want to recognize Dr. Amin Chattergoon, former medical director, very hardworking member of of the profession of the San Fernando General Hospital. And I'll come back to another experience and talk about Dr. Chattergoon in a few minutes. But I want to share my experience because the thing about your candidate here for the past 10 years is that the man never says no. You could ask him in Parliament and as a member of Parliament, and he is a government minister. I would have asked on several occasions for him to deal with the many issues, in the constituency of Faisabad, sometimes in San Fernando with regards to the hospital and so on. And I've never heard no. But has anything been delivered? The answer is still no, nothing. So you all need to understand that because, some of you who may have never met him or meeting him for the first time, you could be very challenging, very, very challenging gentleman. So be aware of that. Be aware of that he will make a lot of promises, smooth talker, and I say this with great respect, he's flying his train, but do not be fooled. Do not be fooled by the flash, by the fluff. It is all promises that will never materialize. On the other hand here, what the UNC has offered you is a gentleman, and if you will permit me, Michael, this party has been trying to get Michael Dowlath to contest the seat of San Fernando West as far back as 2015. Then he was approached again in 2020. I could see that from a personal point of view because I was tasked with that job of asking him. At that point in time, he chose to complete his career in education, to provide education for the students of Naparima College. And so we are offering you here a candidate with some 37 years experience as an educator, with some 20 years experience as a principal. He has done a great deal for the development of the young minds in, not only in San Fernando, but of course throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So it's really chalk and cheese, as they said. So if I come back to April 28th, your decision is easy. You have to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, you have to decide, whether you want to continue to wait for an appointment in the health sector for your surgeries, okay, how long you're prepared to wait, or whether you want to put in the power a government that will do it for you quickly. Some of the questions you have to decide, you have to ask yourself, whether you want to continue to hide in your homes because of your fear of crime, or whether you want to have the freedom to walk the streets again. Those are some of the issues. In the United National Congress, our surveys have shown that there are two things at the top of the list in terms of what citizens are concerned about, and I'm sure you as well fall in that category. And it's crime and the health sector. Of course, there are the issues, there may be joblessness and so on, they fall in the economy and all of that. So I just wanted to spend a few moments just to talk a little bit about the health sector, because that is very close to the hearts of many citizens, young, the elderly. And Mr. Jackman, I want to go back, of course, to when Petrosian was closed, because you would know right here, many of you have suffered not only from the economic point of view, but there was the Augustus Long Hospital that will have cared for so many of the retirees and employees at the Petrosian Hospital. And when that hospital was closed, two things happened. One is that the pension plan was not taken care of for the employees and retirees, and there was no provision made at the San Fernando General Hospital, and Dr. Chattergoon will agree with you. So there was an increased burden at the San Fernando General Hospital with no increase in compensation or allocation of funds and so on. So that was one issue that is still a problem here. In terms of what has happened, if you look at San Fernando West, if you look at what has happened in San Fernando, the hallmark of what Faris Alwari has provided in San Fernando, if you drive along the wharf, there's a black garbage bag that is covering something. Have you all seen that?
Yeah.
It's a black garbage bag that's covering something. You know what it's covering? It's covering a statue. So it's covering a statue that was made, and it was the wrong statue shown. Correct? Yeah, so it was a wrong statue to represent the first people. So this is telling you that this is a government that is promising you development on the waterfront, but you can't get a simple thing as a statue right. You understand? You understand what we're dealing here? You understand the level of incompetence we are dealing with? You know? And it is almost, if it wasn't so serious, you would have to laugh at it. You drive and what they do, they cover it to the black garbage bag. They talk about development in the waterfront, and I don't want to delve too much because I'm sure Dr. Dowlath will speak a bit more about that. But San Fernando deserves a lot more. City of San Fernando could be a great tourist destination. Why don't we have tourists coming into San Fernando? It's a historic city. So really and truly, nothing has been done in the past 10 years. If anything, San Fernando has been left to decay and to rot. The only, and I'll come back to my point, that the only development in San Fernando that we can truly be proud of is the San Fernando Teaching Hospital. If we look at it really and truly, that hospital was opened in 2014. And I want to share the story here. And this is where it is important to distinguish between the government that you're going to vote in, if you make the right decision on April 28th, between the government that you're going to vote in and the government that you have, the so-called government you have in power right now. So that hospital came about because in 2010, I can tell you because I was the chairman of the Southwest RHA at that point in time. And the biggest problem we had at that time was a shortage of beds. The old San Fernando Hospital, as we call it now, was built way back in 1955 and somewhere around there. And of course, there was a big bed shortage. And there was this building next to the San Fernando Hospital. And I remember the then Prime Minister coming to open one of the first projects in the San Fernando Hospital. It was the new eye theater. And then she realized that there was a problem with beds and so on. And she walked across and looked at that building. And that building, of course, was earmarked to be an administration building by the previous administration. You will remember that was where the old Chancery car park was. And her instructions to me as chairman, to the Minister of Health, Dr. Ford at the time, was that can we convert this hospital? Well, actually, it wasn't can we convert this hospital. Please convert this building into a hospital. And that instruction was given in somewhere in 2011. And in January of 2014, we were able to open that hospital and offer 214 extra beds to the need of not only San Fernando, but all of the South Trinidad. But I want to share another story about that. Sometimes when you have a project, you get a lot of resistance. This was a big deal. This new hospital had to be opened and so on. And for about 2 months, I was hearing, we can't do this. We can't move into this hospital because we are ready. This is not ready, that are ready. So one Saturday night, myself, Dr. Anand Chatterbourne, and Mr. Anil Gosai, the CEO of the SWRHA. 3 of us on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock in the evening. I told Anand, I say, come hell or high water. I don't care how we do this. We have to move into that building. And we moved the first ward into that building, and then it fell into place after. I just tell you that to give you an example. To give you an example of the vision of the then Prime Minister, the one that you'll be putting back into government, and of course the determination of those who work with her and for her, and of course at the end of the day, we work for all of us, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So that's just an example. There are many things that we propose to do. I don't have the time to go into all of the details tonight. I know that, Michael, this is a session where we'll have questions as well. So if you have questions regarding the health sector, so I'll be very happy to answer them. Many of our proposals are there in terms of the health manifesto. That has already been prepared. We have a 100-day plan with about 25 projects that we are going to implement right away. One of them will be the cardiac cath lab at San Fernando, which has been dragged for the last 10 years. And of course, that is very, very important. At the last meeting, we had a gentleman who came up and, spoke from the audience at the last meeting 2 days ago in Mutulans. And, recall the horror story of him having to go to the San Fernando hospital and with a heart attack and not being able to get an angiogram, having to pay for it. And now he's on a waiting list to get called for his bypass surgery, then whatever it requires. And the sad reality of this is that many of those patients actually die while they're waiting this on a new list, of course. So that's a thing of the past. We are going to be able to fix that amongst many other things that we are going to do. So we have a plan in place, we have the policies in place, not only in the health sector, but of course in all of the other sectors to develop Trinidad and Tobago, because we know when the UNC wins, everybody will win. So my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're here to listen to your candidate for San Fernando West. I have no hesitation, no doubt at all that when you elect Dr. Michael Dowlath as your next member of parliament for San Fernando West, that you will get a gentleman of integrity, a gentleman of competence, a gentleman of experience. I had the privilege and pleasure of working with Dr. Dowlath when we were in government. As chairman of the SWRHA, he would have worked very closely with Minister Fazal Karim in the Ministry of Tertiary Education. Michael was also the chairman of the Accreditation Council. So we would have worked together, and I would have seen, interacted with him and so on in terms of the teaching hospital and dealing with medical students and so on. So I have no doubt at all that he has the ability, he has the competence, he has the experience, and he's ready to bring to you in San Fernando West the true delivery, the true development that you, the good people of San Fernando West, and I want to fully endorse him, both from my own personal point of view as someone having known him, and of course from the party's point of view in having, selected him. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and I remain available to answer your questions as we go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MP Dr. Lackram Bodoe. And I would like to welcome onlooker who from the road, very distinguished Professor Roger Hussain, and invite him to come inside and listen to our meeting. Yes, so as Doctor spoke a little bit about health, I just want to remind everybody about the one thing that really is close to my heart, which would be the Child Life Fund, which was our political leaders' first cabinet note. Where these children who couldn't get surgery here in Trinidad were able to go abroad and get it. And with the Cuba Children's Hospital, which they never opened. The Hope of a Miracle, which is a foundation my mother works with, were in discussions with doctors and surgeons at Jackson Memorial to come down here and do those surgeries that we would have had to send the children away for. Do them for free at the Cuba Children's Hospital. They have left that Cuba Children's Hospital to rot like a white elephant. That is a sin. I don't know. It's tragic. Yeah, that's tragic. Yeah. So let us remember that under Kamala, we all had a better life. Let us remember. I mean, it's sometimes we forget that we all breathed a little easier. We could all live. No, we're thankful. Exactly. So without going on anymore, because I know we want to hear from the audience, I just want to welcome the main man of the night. He is really a distinguished citizen of San Fernando. He has nurtured and developed the lives of so many thousands of young boys and girls too, because he was principal at IRE. And when we walk, I'm surprised that I sometimes hear more IRE in a neighborhood than Naprima Dog, and they just say IRE, and he goes right. And they feel so deeply for him. And we all have had principals, but when you hear these children, when they relate their stories, how much he influenced all of their lives, from my son, go up and come down, all of their friends, they gladly supported. And they're willing and happy to endorse. We went to Sabrina's home, and Elijah was like, I'm waiting in the road so long today. I hear you come in. And he took the mic and he gave a wonderful endorsement on his own. And that is how deeply he has impacted the lives and developed and nurtured outstanding citizens of this country. And what more can we ask for? We can have a man who lives in Federation Park and comes down here every election. Right now, he's in Pakistan as we speak, on the lookout, hosting a meeting. Yeah, because we were there. And so he playing cat and mouse with us now, follow the leader. Because we were there, we had a huge meeting there. The whole park was full. And they stood out in the rain, and Doc stood in the rain and spoke. Right? And so he's going back there. But we are going to win this. We are going to win this because we have a real candidate, someone who cares about people, someone who wants to see development, someone who is community driven, right? Not a puppy show. Plenty talk and tight pants. That is not what we are. We've heard it, we've seen it, and it's not working out for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Michael Dowlath, your next member of Parliament for San Fernando West.
Thank you very much, Viviana. I want to welcome all of you to this Cottage meeting here in Marabella West. I want to also recognize our distinguished head table and all the distinguished people on the outside too, who are here in the interest of our country and by extension, what happens in the world. I want to say that I have walked, I have listened, and San Fernando West is quite diverse when we start from Sunset Cove and go up to the Guarapara River. But some of the issues are very common. Issues of infrastructure, of drainage, simple things like rats and snails and mosquitoes, started from that. And this is a reflection on the fact that what is supposed to be working as normal at local government doesn't work. So when we researched it, we realized that 10% of the budget was removed from the San Fernando city. We've heard about it being under-resourced. And the so-called property tax didn't come back to the city to be used for all of these services. So governance at the local level has deteriorated. And what we accept as normal should not be normal. Those are the things that affect your quality of life as a citizen, your homes. People are asking for simple cleaning of the drains, extension of box drains, picking up of the garbage. I think I was walking on Batu Boulevard and the bulk waste from tree cuttings and things like that in a neighborhood was there. And I said to another meeting, it was there so long that a pumpkin patch grew and the pumpkin was bearing. To tell you how long it took. Pearl Avenue. Yes. I walk us out. Yeah, remember. Yes, Pearl Avenue. So I want to say that what has this country come to for those services that are supposed to be the normal thing? And you know, as you walk through and you hear more of it, you yourself get frustrated because we have the alderman, we have all our councillors going to the city. And sometimes we are able, in simple areas, in simple situations, to make a change. You know, whether it's street lighting and water issues, we bring it to the attention, and we have solved many issues over the last 4 months. But I want to say, when we think especially about our young people, I had labeled last year, about mid-last year when we were on pre-budget consultation, San Fernando as the education capital. But I want to go a little further and call San Fernando the education and innovation capital. It's the second capital. It is the industrial capital. But that dark shadow that was cast by the closure of Petrotrin has created so many additional issues to the two adjacent constituencies and so many other problems that have come out. When we look at the hopes and aspirations of families, of parents, of innocent children, in about, I think it's about 12 days, the SEA exam will take place. So many parents are anxious. And I want to say that when you look at the statistics over the last 5 years, students who wrote the SEA exam, approximately 18 or 19,000 write it. Good night, come right in. Good night, welcome, welcome everybody. And what has happened, when you look at the statistics, about 13,000 write the CXC exams. What has happened to that 6,000 on the way through secondary school? And just about 50% get a full certificate. So for those children in 12 days' time who are going to write that exam, the statistics says that it's 1 in 3 that will pass the finish line. And we are accepting that as a nation. Primary and secondary school are the times in the lives of children where they should have the most fun, where they should enjoy learning. And what have we imposed on these young people? A system where we are creating failures. So we talk about the ability to assess those children, and the plans of the United National Congress and our political leader are to ensure that we have the right resources, social workers, guidance officers. We are going to place doctors in schools so that they can pick up the issues with our children as they develop. I have found so many parents in San Fernando who are looking for good institutions because their children are on the spectrum. They have all kinds of different learning abilities. And they were not picked up early enough to start that remediation program. In Trinidad, we believe that all children can learn. And that is something I want to say to everybody. All children can learn. And so the education system has to be able to fit the needs of the child. Okay? They have to be able to fit the, and schools now must become those institutions where every child is given the best opportunity. And so yesterday we heard our political leader talk about workforce centers. Many students are not able to follow the academic curriculum, but they are very good with skill. And so workforce centers are places where you develop their skills, whether it's masonry, carpentry, small equipment, repairs, technology, and they become certified. We are starting a program at our office on Thursday where we have our first batch. When we walk through different areas, Mr. Jackman and all the area managers brought to my attention, you have young people who did not succeed at their CXC exams, but they're willing to upgrade their skills. They can't find that job. And so we are starting a program where they will be learning safety in industry. They will learn to drive forklifts. They will go on to other programs after where they learn to operate high-ups and cranes and things like that. And so we got sponsorship for 20 of the young people from San Fernando. And within a week, they'll be certified and they can work in any one of those hardware or any one of those businesses. And I'll tell you how important forklift drivers are. I looked at a video of a fire of a car in Debe. And suddenly there was a car next door where they couldn't find the owner. And a forklift driver just came and took that car carefully and removed it from the danger zone. And so it means that, therefore, that common sense that sometimes we're not taught about in schools. You know, they talk about a lot of book learning. Our education system has to be changed in that way. But you know, I could talk for hours on education. So I want to talk now about performance and why I chose to stand up in San Fernando West. You'd have heard those people who know me would have spoken about, you know, my interest, especially in this country, Dr. Bodoe spoke about when I was chairman of the Accreditation Council. And I was also the interim chairman for the gate funding during that time, 2011 to 2015. Gate was open. So when you look at the policies of the United National Congress, it's people-centered, it's family-centered, it's centered for single mothers, it's centered for all of us. So I want to ask my friend to pass me this brochure. There's a gentleman who I hear somewhere down in Pakistan. In 2020, this was his manifesto. And he said that 5,000 jobs will be created. Never happened. So I'm going to go through the 11 things that he said. Chancery Lane Administrative Complex. Never happened. Over 5,000 jobs he promised. For that one, 900 jobs. And it's supposed to be open on September 2022. Yes, and I have you all look at it. Waterfront reclamation, supposed to finish in 2021. 1,650 jobs. And what has happened? I was walking down on the train line, and the fishermen there said that after that reclamation, there's no fish. I did a video on it. Yeah? And with the closure of Petrotrain, there's no kerosene and there's no regular gas. So a keg of gas costs $600. That's to make one spin. And if you don't catch any fish, you have to spend another $600. So it's $1,200. The fish that you catch, if you don't sell it and make more than $1,200, you bust. And so they told me that their children have to go down to Mayara to fish. And every day it costs $2,000 just to get from San Fernando. And if the fish you catch here, you don't make that 2,000, you bust again. So I want us to understand that these projects have to be well thought out. And what is this land being reclaimed for? Third, Plaza San Carlos restoration. Never happened. San Fernando fishing facility, there was, how you call it? A practical opening. Yeah, if the fishermen didn't make a fuss, and I heard they're saying it's 90%, 98% ready. Yeah? San Fernando Family Court, never happened. San Fernando Hospital Car Park Extension is there, 140 million. The hospital next door, Dr. Bodoe spoke about it. You'll hear Dr. Chatterton talk about it. What about the cath lab? What about all the facilities? What about the drugs? Getting the MRIs and all those kinds of things that's supposed to be working 24 hours. You spend on a car park at the hospital there, suffering, and our people are suffering. How long does it take to get a bed? 6, 8, 10, 12 hours, sometimes a whole day. Anybody ever experienced that? Yeah, just to get on the bed, you know. Right? Yes, even while pregnant. So priorities. Bayshore housing project, we walk through and you get in shells of houses. You have to do all the other things, the electrical and things like that. Skinner Park reconstruction. So you know, myself and Sean, we talk about intercol. The field was destroyed. You can't even have an intercol match on it. Yeah? And for those people who have spoken to from Coconut Drive and surroundings, they want to go and walk and exercise from 4 or 5 in the morning. It's locked up. Only a few selected people are allowed inside there. Lady Hills Avenue widening and coastal protection system. Practical open. Half the road we driving on, both sides, the next half closed down. Yeah? So you understand what I'm talking about? And back at the indoor basketball facility, never happened. Carlton Lane development. Sean, the cost of that per unit, 1.2 million. So the average person could afford that. So 10 out of the 11 projects that were promised by the present MP never happened or were partially completed. Shame on performance. And so last time down in Faizabad, I gave him an F grade. And so, you know, in a paper, if somebody don't write something, they call it ungraded. There's nothing to grade. So I want to say to everybody, and we have a lot of experts, and I expect to hear from my friend Walter Hussein, Dr. Chatterton, everybody, to talk about your experiences, because we are almost completed in terms of developing, and tonight we listen to you again, our manifesto for San Fernando West, street by street, area by area. And you know, they say politicians come and then they forget. We are writing it down. So you see what I did there? People can hold us to account. They can hold us to account. Yes, for the garbage collection and all the other things, the drainage and all the other issues. So as I close, I want to say to you, think about our children, think about our grandchildren, think about the future. Think about what ought to be in this country. Not the mediocrity or the even lower than mediocrity. Something's not just working. Yeah? What we want, that dream we have. Some of us, our dreams got destroyed because of some circumstances. But we must allow our children and grandchildren to dream. Yes? And this is our opportunity. When the United National Congress wins, everybody wins. So tonight, as I close, I want to say, don't allow anybody to take away our dreams. Yeah? From where we've come from to where we want to go. And so tonight, as we reflect, we have a crossroad. Yeah? On April 28th. Not just us here, you know. Everybody we know. Every single relative, we have to ensure that they go and they vote and they put their heads at the right stuff. We have to save this nation. And it's within our hands, it's within our powers. So I want to thank all of you for your commitment, for your support. And I look forward to working with a team that will take Trinidad and Tobago out of this depression. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Michael Dowlath. And you see what a kind of caring member of parliament we are about to have. You know? So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to mention one thing. There's a small a kind of open Bible church on Bay Road on the line, right? So 4 years ago, in Bayshore, close to Bay Road, right at the end of Bay Road, there's a little church there that's been abandoned. And about 4 years ago, we made all the arrangements to have the church turn into a homework center, because a homework center, and Dr. Dowlath recognized the need for that as well now. And we got a contractor to agree to do all the works, to change the roof and everything free of charge. We got companies to offer to do all the computers, pay for the internet access and so on. The morning the contractor went to start, the PNM council for the area at the time, it wasn't Maka, it was the one before, came and stopped the project and said he doing it himself. It's gonna be done. This city corporation is doing it, and they don't want this, and they're gonna do it right away. I walked there last 2 weeks, and it is exactly the same. I think that is a perfect example of the uncaring vindictiveness of the PNM. If you could do that to children, it's you and me. You understand? So I'm happy to report I just got videos from Pakistan where they have any meeting, and it's like total buzz. If you have two people there, you're talking to the sea and a few fish, that fisherman must be full of honey. So this is your time to tell us what you want for your community, and we look forward to hearing from you and members of the panel that would be happy to answer your question. So first, whoever would like to say something, make a recommendation, an observation. We get at that now.
Let's invite my friend Wazir. Yeah, we will. Wazir, let's welcome Wazir.
Good night to the next member of parliament for San Fernando West, Dr. Dowlath, other dignitaries, people, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wazir Hussein. I've known Michael for a very long time, and fortunately, unfortunately, he's the one who has dragged me out because this is my second speech like this in a political arena, because as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, at this stage of my life, I have given up. I am a happy camper. I know I live in a strong fourth world country. I will get water once a week in Coconut Drive. My garbage is picked up fairly frequently. If I have to go in the hospital, I will have to wait a couple of days to get. For example, my dog bit me because she had to get her shots. I went Pleasantville. When I went Pleasantville, they said, no, you have to come back. They don't do it this day, you have to come back the next day. When I came back the next day, because I wouldn't test our system, they said, where you live? I said, Trinidad. They said, where in Trinidad? I said, Coconut Drive. Oh, no, you have to go Lackram. Right? So, and then of course, I probably had on the same, if it was a Friday, it's my Friday uniform. So they saw the time and said, well, you could afford it because the doctor just went for lunch at 2 o'clock in the evening. We're not sure if they're coming back. I just wanted to test the system. Because although I have said in a meeting, one of the neighbors there said, you know, you should give up. I have done enough for my country. Plenty people would know that. You all know about the CDAP program? You're welcome. I was the president of the pharmacy board when that came into play. And I will tell you, when I tell members of the board, all pharmacists, no pharmacist wanted to be in that program. I had to beg them. We had a meeting and I let them talk for 2 hours. And they said all kind of things. When they finished, I just said, look, all I'm asking all you is for 6 months. Let's do this for 6 months. Let's do it for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And if you all are not happy, I will go as the president to the government and get all your money back. Ask a pharmacist to come out to the program today. But it's a program that patient gets the medication, they're happy. The pharmacists get paid late, but they're happy. And the government felt good. But guess what? That was in 2003 it started. It started as a pilot project. And why don't be vexed with me? Because although I was voted out as the president because I was too disciplined, I had no problem with that. I went quietly into the night. And I saw the program. It was so, because it was done with the best intention, it runs, but it's running still like a pilot project. So for example, the hospital has computers, we have computers, the same computer, but they don't talk. Right? So we may have medication in the private sector, the hospital don't have it in the public sector. It's supposed to go to a next stage where the doctors were supposed to come on board. We're still waiting for that. Since 2005, I think that was supposed to be put in place. Dr. Bodoe would know that this country has been talking about national health insurance. Where have we reached with that? See, that was the closest from the delivery of the pharmaceuticals. But what I could say as a profession of the profession of pharmacy, at the end of the day, we are the bastard children because we have always been treated badly. This country don't have a shortage of doctors and pharmacists and nurses. I like to tell one story. And the reason why I'm telling this story is to show you where, as a country, we are strong forward. When I was president of the pharmacy board, the doctors and the minister wanted to bring in pharmacists in this country. I met with the council, we discussed things, and we looked at data, which Michael likes to look at. And there was enough pharmacists in the country to serve the population. But they wanted to send me to the Philippines to bring pharmacists. And I said, no, there is no need to do it. There is a shortage in the public sector. There is a surplus in the private sector. Why? Because one is being paid properly, the next one is not being paid. What is the solution? Pay them properly and they will stay. They insisted I go first class to the Philippines, and on principle, I never went. I've never been to the Philippines. I could have gone on a nice joyride. But I told them something, and I think they've gotten vexed with me because of that. Because the same thing happens to nurses. You have enough. Pay them well, they will stay. Create the environment for them. Because even with Michael is talking about the different schools and the standard, one thing, he don't like to toot his own trumpet because there's something he and I followed off when he was principal, and I keep telling him, boy, keep a track record of your progress now. Keep a track record of all these scholarships. Because there was a time, Sean might like to hear this, when Courage used to outshine me with scholarships. During Michael's tenure, you will see the incremental growth. And at the end of the day, there is only one problem in Trinidad and Tobago from my perspective. And I could answer and give the solution to every single problem in this country. What problem we have? Give me an give you the answer. Somebody, what?
Everything.
Yes, but I want you to call it and I'll tell you what. Crime. Solution, leadership.
All right.
Health. Solution, leadership. What a lot of you will know, I was appointed to, I was a commissioner and commissioner of inquiry. What a lot of you all wouldn't know is that I was the youngest member at that time, and the commissioner, the chairperson, the chairwoman was Mrs. Lackram Bodoe. And you know, when I was appointed, people started telling me, why you're going to the commissioner of inquiry, it's a waste of time and nothing will be done and all that. I said, well, give me an opportunity, I'll try. And I got the commissioner to agree on a strategy, and the strategy was simple. We had research officers. We will send out these research officers in all the hospitals to get information. And then we will, I wouldn't say lead, we will just mention we come into those hospitals in 2 weeks' time. Guess what used to happen in those 2 weeks? Everything fixed. Even San Fernando, the lab, which was condemned for 20-something years, it was condemned for 20-something years. I claim, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, so I went and asked question. So you are expanding services in San Fernando? Yes. Okay. So you have services right now? Yes. Do you have enough lab facilities? No. You're expanding the services? Yes. Would you need more lab facilities? Yes. So if you have a shortage now, how are you achieving that then? And that's why we have the problem. There's so much easy solutions. But one thing I have learned in life as a Trinidadian, and I want you all to think about it. At the end of the day, everything is designed to frustrate you.
Correct.
You want to go and pay and get there, you can't get up, you'll get it. You want to go to the hospital, you have to. Even you see that program, when I left, they have put certain things. You off the system, you have to go and bring your birth certificate for me to put you back on. Who walks with a birth certificate? Right? And that is what I have learned in life. And a lot of things I've learned in life is through Michael. And then when he became principal, and the reason why I have to harp on that is because I said the solution to anything is leadership. And he's a good leader. He was good enough to pull me up. Can he change San Fernando West?
Yes.
Will you all vote for him? Yes. But it's not only all here. All you have to tell everybody to vote for him. I'll be honest with you, man is good. He is good. And he will make a difference. I could give you a personal story about this. How many of you have children in secondary school? My son just finished. I'm going to give you a personal story from it. There's nothing. You know, you tell your children, do your best, study hard, and all that. So I still that in my daughter, I still it in my son. So my son decided to take it and make a thing there. Say, son, you want to win a scholarship? He said, yes. So, all right, you have to work hard, you know. So he did his part, I did my part. He wanted to do, we call it A-levels, the scale. You normally do, how much, Michael? It's 3 subjects and in the general paper, history. He decided to do 4 subjects and general papers. So that's fine. He got all 1s in the 2 years. He got all A's. Guess what? He working for open scholarship the government decided to cut it and just give 5 scholarships open. He was disappointed, but I had to do what I had to do to get him to do it. My point is, we are not rewarding the students properly. We are not rewarding the students properly. And I think the biggest thing, if I could just split the education, you're hearing suddenly the current Prime Minister having big meeting, what he calls that and all of that. There have been consultations. I have not gone to any consultation. Why? Because the decision is already taken. Imagine from a simplistic point of view, the nominational schools, which is underfunded, Michael could tell you by how much millions, perform better than government schools. But what is the solution that the government has? Let's make all denominational schools government schools. It makes no sense. My solution, my recommendation, I've said it, is to make all government schools denominational schools. I know what's the irony? Where do the politician children go to? In certain countries, they're only allowed to go in government schools to ensure that they build it up to a level. Not here. And that is why I say we're showing what we're back to. But we could change. We could change. Michael could make that difference. And that's my message to you. Not only for you all to vote for him, but get your family to come out and vote. We could talk and we could send and you could see all the banners and the trucks. Right? We could have all the, what you hear now, the ripping down all of that. But what is in your heart for your country and your children, they can't take that away from you. Because I'm really disappointed in this government. I'll be honest with you. I'm extremely disappointed. Right? So that is my message. My message is to support Michael, to support UNC. I went to the Monday meeting and I think Liliana said it about that. You know, you go and you don't get what you want, you don't go there and carry on. And I must admit something, I am really to see and to hear all the things that Mrs. Bissessa has gone through. And she's still there. Think about it. Does she need to be? I believe when she says that she loves us, that she needs it. Right? Because the fact that even Michael, I could tell you, you need all this. You don't need to work all that. You have worked hard as a principal, you have retired. But he has that loving feeling, that caring. And he cares about his students. And that's what I would say is it's possible for any school. Although I give up on things because you've heard, I used to be chairman of Scouts, I used to be, the CEDA, president of Pharmacy Board, Islamic Home for Children. I've done things for my country. At the end of the day, you have to be, some people are blind in one eye and cocaine in the next. No matter what you do, no matter how good it is, they don't do it. And that is something we have to change. Because we just have to look around. There is no organization or institution that is efficiently run. It can change overnight. Some people say it's pie in the sky. It can change overnight because the resources just has to go where it has to go. Dr. Chatterton will tell you that. I remember him writing out so many articles on what is the solution. Do they listen? I think now we have people who would listen, and I would like to ask you to support him and to support all the UNC candidates and I think it's coalition candidates. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wazir, for some very inspiring comments. I just want to address quickly, because I know the others who want to speak. With regards to the CEDA program, I want to give the assurance that the CEDA program will be retained and improved. The problem with the CEDA program is that, as you know, many of the drugs are not considered effective and efficacious anymore. So part of our policy will be to examine the drugs and see that not only to increase the number of drugs, but to change and improve the types of drugs like anti-diabetic drugs and anti-cancer drugs and so on. So we are committed to that. We are committed now. There's a 7 billion allocation to the health sector every year. Of that, there's a 600 million allocation to drugs and supplies, which we believe is not sufficient because that it needs to be improved. And we give the commitment that we will Keep see that program, we'll expand it, we'll improve it. I agree with you with regards to the doctors and nurses. Of course, right now we have close to 600 unemployed doctors. We will find a place for them. One of the challenges we have noticed, and some of you who attend the clinics will notice, is that you have one doctor right now having to see 100 patients in a clinic. That's impossible. As a pharmacist, from the pharmacy point of view, when the doctor writes a prescription, they need some counseling. So we'll want to introduce some counseling from the pharmacist so that the drugs and so on, you have greater compliance. So we intend to utilize those doctors so we can improve the ratio of doctors and nurses to patients so the doctors can spend more time with you. Williana mentioned the Cuba Children's Hospital, and of course that hospital, saved so many lives during the COVID pandemic, and of course it has been almost abandoned again. We want to give the country the assurance that we will fully operationalize the Cuba Hospital as soon as we get back into government. And I just want to talk about practical opening for one minute, because this government, when I received an invitation to the practical opening of the central block of the Port of Spain Hospital, I was wondering, what is a practical opening? And I see now they had a practical opening of some fishing thing, and so there's a new trend of this government, a practical opening. But the Cuba Hospital was completed on August 14, 2015. I was there. And then I think you would have been there, you would have been invited as well. But the point about it is that there are videos circulating of that hospital with all equipment. It was a fully equipped hospital. It was open. All we had to do was commission the hospital, where we would have, commission the equipment and staff it and so on. And then Chatagun was part of a plan, drafted a plan so that we could introduce the services at the hospital. Of course, they abandoned the hospital. That is one of the greatest, tragedies. But we give the assurance it would be fully operationalized, and we will complete the central block at the Port of Spain Hospital as well. It's amazing that the kind of hoaxes this PNM government will perpetrate on the population. To tell you that they're opening a hospital, they show you one floor, which, I understand they had the beds and so on brought in just for the day, and hope that the population will believe that, So, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand how this government looks at you. They want to think that all of us are absolute fools. That's how they look at us. So we have to be careful, when April 20th comes, we can't forget that. So in the health sector, of course, we'll address the doctors, the nurses, the hospitals, and so on. And there are many other issues that we'll address, but I'll leave it for the time being. I know some of you want to raise some of the points. Thank you.
Please come forward. Whoever.
Some people with plenty, people have plenty, sure. Yeah, good day, everybody. Good day. Keep it short and sweet. We live in a place where people there's defend the children and it have plenty children here. Sports is a big thing all over the world. You understand? Children that's idolize sports people. If they go and they watch little football tournaments, any sports tournaments all over the place, they will see children excelling. But the dream does die when you realize after intercall, when they go in and they play football, they still have to work on 9 to 5 and wait 8 months on money. So the children and them losing aspiration on these things where other places all over the world capitalizing on it, if only understand, man. So you can't let the hope for the sports around the children die out. That's my simple thing behind.
And that's the dream of parents and children. And I want to say that at UTT, they have that sports academy, and University of the West Indies also. So it means, therefore, we have to look at how, I remember, even from secondary school, you could actually reach to the national level. There are 2 boys who passed through me at Africa College. One guy named is Nicholas Puran, And the other one is Nicholas Paul. Yeah, came in to play football, the best cyclist in the world. And so, starting from primary and secondary school, and that's what they do in Jamaica. Yeah, from the primary school, they expose them to the best facility. And so your point, so is well taken. And that's when I talk a lot about education and reforming it and being able to allow children who have those talents to be picked up early. Yeah. And you know, there's an Olympics even for those children who have disabilities. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what abilities or so-called disabilities you have. Yeah, there's a place for every single child. Yeah. I don't know if Dr. Chan is going to want to talk to you.
Beloved fellow citizens, good evening. You know, the logo of the UNC is the rising sun. Well, the sun is the presiding deity of the intellect. And that is why on April the 28th, when you go to vote with your educated index finger, let your intellect guide you and tell you that the only party you can vote for is the UNC. Well, you know, my brother just spoke about leadership, but the key to effective leadership is really love. Keith Rowley never really loved us. Terence Singh never loved us either. And certainly Faris Al-Rawi never loved us here in San Fernando West. To move from a Rowley to a Kamala Prasad recessor is to go from the beast to the beauty. To move from a Faris Al-Rawi to a Michael Dowlath is to move from flash and flare to humility and simplicity. And to move from a Terence Singh to Lackram Bodoe is to move from the pompous and ostentatious to a loving, caring man. I do not know if Kamala Prasad Professor will put Lackram Bodoe as the Minister of Health, but I sure hope she does. Because Lackram Bodoe is not, I'm not just going to talk about his skills as a gynecologist. I'm going to talk about his heart. For health is something that affects every one of us. Every one of us is going to fall ill at some time or other. This Prime Minister, this Minister of Health, this MP for San Fernando West has hurt all of us very, very deeply. There's no doubt about that. Many of us, relatives, families, friends, have suffered and died under the watch of this Prime Minister, this Minister of Health, and this Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, under whose umbrella the San Fernando General Hospital fell. We owe it then. We owe it. We have a duty. We have a duty to all of those people who suffered and died. We owe it. We have a duty to fix that problem. And we can do that on April the 20th. We can play our part. I believe, Kamala, when she says to you that she really loves you, and perhaps nobody will love us as she does. I believe that. I don't care. I don't want to hear the nonsense from people like, what do you call it, Rabindranath Munan and Devant Baraj and Bo Tiwari. And I don't hear about these nonsensical individuals who don't want their backside from their elbows. But you know, to really go from a Faris Al-Rawi from Michael Dowlath is to go from untruth to truth. You know the prayer that says, Asatoma Sadgamaya, from untruth to truth. Michael Dowlath is going to bring, and Lackram Bodoe, where you have sitting at that table, education and health. I hope I'm not being presumptuous. But you have education and health, two very, very important portfolios. For me, health is the most important for me. Because unless you are healthy and well, you cannot go to school, you cannot contribute to the society. And all of us are going to fall ill at some point or other. So that's a very, very important portfolio. And I think Lackram Bodoe is going to bring in a new culture, a culture whereby all of you, when you fall ill, you will be able to contact somebody to help you. If your relatives are lying down in the trolley in the emergency department and can't get a bed, you can pick up the phone and call somebody to help you. But Lackram Bodoe is the kind of man who's always going to be accessible, not like Faris. He's always going to be available, not like Faris. He's always going to be contactable, not like Faris. He's always going to be reachable. Oh, far from Faris. You can never find him. You know, all these promises that he made to us were never kept. But all that's in the past now, and therefore it's no point going over that. It's now for us to chart the future. And we can do it. Michael is a good man. And I think Michael also is going to be accessible and available to all of you here in San Fernando West. So when you have your problems, he's not going to be unreachable like the Pharisal, the pompous, ostentatious flash and flare of Pharisal. You're going to be able you're going to be able to contact Michael because Michael has already made himself available to all of you. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, that's all you want. That's really all you want. When, that's all you want. When you have problems, and you're going to have problems, life is full of problems. God didn't make this human body not to have illnesses. And we are going to have challenges in life. But you know what you want? You want, when you have a problem, to go to somebody who can hear you and who can help you. Michael Dowlath is going to be that man to be there for you in San Fernando West. And in health, it's going to be no better person than my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, and I just want to use the opportunity again to share two policies of the United National Congress in common government. Now, Alan Chatterton spoke about somebody that you could reach out to. He's speaking from a point of experience because in the period 2010 to 2015, when he was the hospital medical director, he volunteered to have his personal cell phone number installed, put in a public space in the casualty and in the outpatient departments. And the reason for that is that if you were in the system and you were waiting more than 1 hour, I believe it was, or more than 2 hours, if you were waiting more than a reasonable time, you could have picked up the phone, you could have called the hospital medical director and say, listen, I'm here with my mother or father or my child. I've been waiting for so long and nothing is happening. Can you intervene? So we had a backup in place. Sometimes the casualty can be busy. We met everyone here with a big casualty, almost all of you know what happens here. So we had that system in place. We also had, I believe it was customer service representatives. So we had a more compassionate name for them. So whilst you were waiting, we had someone who was not a doctor or a nurse who would come and talk to you, you know, and find out what's happening. We are also guaranteeing what we call maximum waiting times. Now, what do we mean by that? So we are guaranteeing maximum waiting times for your investigations, for your clinic appointments, and for your surgeries, right? Right now, you will know somebody who's been waiting for 6 months, a year, for simple things, cataract surgery, hip surgery. Now, when you're elderly and you're waiting on a cataract surgery or hip surgery, and you're waiting 6 months here for what, brother? For cataract. So, I mean, you could lose your sight while you're waiting for cataract surgery, right? You know, you might not be able to walk. So we are guaranteeing maximum waiting times. And how are we going to do that? We have put something in place called the external patient program. So where it is that the capacity of the hospital cannot take care of the number of patients waiting, those patients will be outsourced sometimes to the private sector. and the surgeries will be done, the investigations will be done, and so on. So those are two innovative things that we plan to come back and bring it back, right? The maximum, because the biggest problem right now is you have to wait too long for a surgery, for an ultrasound or a CT scan, for x-rays and so on, certain investigations and so on, right? So we want to give the population that guarantee, and that is why we say guaranteed maximum waiting time.
And doctor, if I may just ask, what about medical tourism? Because I just may finish. We have the Cuba Children's Hospital, and we know that children from the Caribbean all have to go to the United States. We have the best doctors here. When my son got diagnosed with cancer, a specialist pediatrician in Trinidad, who is my friend, Dr. Rambachan Pasan, he called me and he diagnosed the tumor, what type, what stage, everything by just seeing an ultrasound. It took the surgeons in the States 4 CAT scans, an MRI, to decide this is what it is. And this man just looked at it from an ultrasound. We don't have the technology, but we have the brain. Imagine if we had both. They would come from all over the world here.
But Liliana, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the Cuba Hospital is meant to be a teaching hospital. And of course, when you drive past that building, you see the building in the front. So that's 2 parts. That's the adult wing and the pediatric wing. In fact, the Cuba Hospital is the only hospital in the Caribbean that has a separate entry for children, a pediatric entry, emergency. And of course, that was meant to separate the children from the adults when they go, so they have less waiting time. But behind that hospital, there's another building which you can't see from the road. And that building is a training facility. And that was meant, it's designed there to train doctors and nurses and so on, and medical students, of course. Part of our policy program as well will be to have and develop international international corporations with bodies like John Hopkins and other renowned bodies like MD Anderson Cancer Center and so on. So we'll have the benefit of international expertise brought right here to us. And Liliana spoke about the Children's Life Fund, which was very innovative. Again, that life fund has remained stagnant in terms of the kinds of cases and the number of children who can access that fund. Of course, it was an innovative program when, Kamala Prasad brought it as a first cabinet note in 2010. But now, 15 years later, of course, it needs to be modified. And, our intention, of course, is to go to Parliament and to, amend the legislation so that more conditions, and more children will be able to access that fund, of course, with the appropriate funding to go with it. So that's another one of the policies that we are going to implement.
Can somebody pass the mic to me?
Good night, brothers and sisters. A few quick ones. There's something that distinguishes educators from everybody else. Mr. Maraj Jamant is here, Mr. Baksh is here, Dr. Dowlath is here, and like a couple of the teachers. And one of the things about teachers and educators is that we are concerned about the welfare of people. So that's a candidate, because he has 30 odd